God is changing your address, and this has nothing to do with maps or paperwork, but everything to do with destiny. You are not here by accident. There is no click that is random in the world of the Spirit. If there is a strange feeling inside you, as if something is quietly shifting within, even though everything on the outside seems still, that is not imagination. That is heaven knocking very gently on your soul, saying, "It is time." You have been in this place long enough to know every corner of the wall, every sound of the night, every familiar silence. This place once sheltered you from rain and wind. It was where you sat down when you were too tired to keep going. But lately, you feel like you cannot breathe deeply anymore. Not because the room is small, but because your soul has grown larger than the space holding it. You try to name that feeling, but no word fits. It is not exactly sadness, and not exactly fear. It feels like standing at the edge of something very big, very real, but not yet clearly seen. You still do your daily routines, you still live, you still smile when needed, but inside there is a question that refuses to be silent: why peace is no longer here. The truth is this, and you need to hear it clearly. God does not remove peace to hurt you. When peace withdraws, it is a sign that He is preparing you for another place. You are not being abandoned. You are being called out. There are places God allows you to stay for shelter, and there are moments when He speaks very softly but very firmly. You have sheltered long enough. Now it is time to move. Not because this place is bad, but because what I placed inside you no longer fits here. Do you remember the nights you sat there speaking with God in silence, not polished prayers, just very honest, very tired words? Those words did not disappear into the air. They were kept. And because He heard them, He began to move. Deep inside, you know you are not standing here by coincidence. There was an appointment, an arrangement not written on any human calendar, but already marked in the unseen realm. You did not arrive early, and you did not arrive late. You arrived exactly when heaven began to shift its axis. There is a verse of Scripture that, for some reason, keeps returning to your mind. Not loudly, not forcefully. The Lord reveals His covenant to those who fear Him. Psalm 25:14. A covenant is not a reward for the perfect. It is intimacy reserved for those who are willing to listen. And you are listening, even if you cannot yet name what you are hearing. You may be looking around and wondering, if this truly is from God, why does everything still look unchanged? Why does the account look the same? Why do circumstances seem frozen? But you need to know this: in the way God works, real change always begins on the inside before it touches the outside. He always moves the soul first, then the feet. Where you are standing now is a threshold. Not everyone realizes when they are standing at a threshold, because there is no sign. There is only a feeling that is both fear and hope, both wanting to hold on to what is familiar and unable to return to the way things were. You are not weak for feeling this way. You are awakening. When God prepares to change the trajectory of a life, He will no longer allow that person to be comfortable in what is familiar. Not to make them panic, but so they can no longer pretend that everything is fine. You may have blamed yourself. Why am I not more grateful? Why do I feel confined when I still have shelter? But you need to understand this. Gratitude does not mean staying forever. There are seasons when the truest form of gratitude is being willing to let go, when God says it is enough. You were not called to survive. You were called to live rightly. And those two things are not always the same. There are seasons when survival itself is grace, but there will come a day when if you continue to only survive, you will lose what God placed inside you. So if you are feeling as if the ground beneath your feet is no longer still, do not rush to force it back into place. This is not an earthquake. It is a rearrangement. Heaven is shifting a few things to bring you to the right position. You do not need to know exactly where you are going yet. God rarely gives the map in advance. He gives certainty. And that certainty is not in the details, but in the deep sense that if He is not with you, you cannot move forward. But if He has already gone ahead, you cannot stay. This is only the beginning. No bags have been packed. No doors have opened before your eyes. But the call has been released. Very clear, very real. And you hear it not with your ears, but with your soul. The pressure you are feeling is not a sign that you are losing, but a sign that you are growing. There are days you wake up with a heavy feeling in your chest, without knowing why. There is no major event, no specific bad news, but your soul feels like it is being pressed from the inside. You wonder if you are overthinking everything, or if it is just temporary exhaustion. But deep within you, there is a truth that refuses to be silent. This place no longer fits you. You tried to adapt. You told yourself that if you just tried a little harder, endured a little longer, everything would be fine. You prayed for peace to return. You played worship music. You kept familiar routines. But the peace did not return as before, not because God is silent, but because He is speaking in a different way. Some pressure comes from mistakes, and some pressure comes from expansion. When a child grows, old shoes begin to hurt their feet, not because the shoes are bad, but because the feet have changed. Your soul is the same. What God is doing in you has outgrown the space where you are standing, and pressure is the signal that it is time to change. You may be looking at your circumstances and seeing only reasons not to believe. Finances are not saying yes. Circumstances are not opening a path. Your heart is so tired it does not want to hope one more time, but the truth is not in what your eyes can see. The truth is in what heaven has determined. And what heaven has determined is not limited by the numbers in front of you. There is a word in Scripture that arrives at just the right time, as if it were reserved for this moment. Those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Psalm 34:10. That verse does not say you will have everything you want. It says you will not lack what you need. And sometimes what you need most is not more, but to be led out of the place that is draining you. You have been here long enough to know that some things cannot be fixed by trying harder. Some doors do not open because you have knocked too many times. They do not open because they are not doors for your next season. God does not close them to tease you. He closes them to protect you from stopping in the wrong place. This pressure is not a punishment. It is an invitation, a very serious, very personal invitation. Not for the crowd, not for those who only want stability. It is for you, the one who prayed in silence, who stood firm when no one was watching, who kept faith even when nothing felt clear anymore. You may be asking yourself if this truly is from God. Why does the road ahead still look unclear? But God rarely gives light for the entire path. He gives just enough light for the next step. And your next step right now is not going somewhere, but recognizing that you cannot stay the same anymore. There will be people who do not understand your restlessness. They will say you are too sensitive, that you think too much. They look at your circumstances and see that you still have many things, but they do not live inside your soul. They do not hear what you hear when night falls and all the noise fades away. You do not need human permission to obey God, and you do not need to explain too much. When it is time for Him to move you, the most important confirmation does not come from the outside, but from a very deep agreement within you, an agreement that makes you tremble and feel at peace at the same time. Have you noticed that lately you are no longer as afraid of loss as before? You are more afraid of staying than of leaving. That is not recklessness. That is faith waking up. When God begins to prepare a transition, He changes the way you see risk. What once made you hold on tightly now makes you feel like you cannot breathe. Not everyone is called to leave at the same time. Some are called to stay and build. But if you are hearing this call, if this pressure is resting on you, it is because your journey does not end here. God did not create you just to endure. He created you to step into what He has prepared. You do not need to force yourself to believe. You only need to be honest with what you are feeling. And if you are honest, you will admit that deep inside, a part of you is already ready. Not ready because you have all the answers, but because you know that staying will slowly cause you to lose yourself. This is not rebellion. This is obedience taking shape. And it begins with allowing yourself to admit this pressure is not here to crush you. It is here to push you out of a place you have already outgrown. God has not asked you to pack yet. He is only asking you to open your eyes, to recognize that you are standing at a threshold, and the pressure you feel is the invisible hand gently but firmly pushing you toward what has already been appointed. There is a very specific moment when you begin to understand that the problem is not you, but the space you are trying to belong to. You have asked yourself hundreds of times whether you have changed too much, whether you are asking for too much, or whether you no longer know what enough is. But the truth is this: you are not asking too much. You simply no longer belong to a place that has finished its assignment in your life. You begin to realize this not through a major event, but through very small details. Conversations that once lightened your heart now leave you tired. Familiar corners that once made you feel safe now make you restless. You step into your home and your soul does not exhale. It tightens. No one says it out loud, but there is an invisible resistance in the air. You tried to keep the peace, tried to keep things normal, tried to tell yourself that if you just changed your perspective, everything would be fine. But peace is not something you can manufacture by willpower. Peace is a sign of presence, and when that presence is no longer there as before, your soul is the first to notice. There are places God allows you to stay for a season, to learn how to stand firm, to survive the storm, but places meant for survival are rarely places meant for blooming. And if you try to bloom in soil that has been depleted, you will think you are weak, when the issue is the ground. You are not imagining this heaviness, you are discerning. Your soul has been shaped through enough trials to know when something no longer belongs to the light. Not everything negative is loud. Some misalignments are very quiet, very subtle, slowly draining you without you knowing why. There is a truth you need to face. Even if it is not easy to hear, not every shelter is sacred ground. Some places give you cover, but not rest. Some places allow you to exist, but not to live according to what God has placed within you. And when you stay too long in such a space, you begin to shrink to fit it. You have already done that. You lowered the volume of your inner voice. You called the tension reality. You called exhaustion maturity. But your soul was not created to live compressed. It was created to respond to the life of the Holy Spirit. There is a promise that comes very softly, but very firmly, as if God is whispering right in the middle of your thoughts. I have set before you an open door, which no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. That door has not appeared before your eyes yet, but it already exists in heaven's design. And what is unsettling you is not that the door has not opened, but that you have been standing too long in front of a door that has already closed. You begin to understand that this discomfort is not your enemy. It is a signal. It is the way the Holy Spirit says it is time for you to stop trying to fix a place that is no longer assigned to you. Not everything broken needs to be repaired. Some things need to be left. Here, you can pause for a moment, not to do anything dramatic, just to ask yourself one honest question. If you were not afraid of what others think, if you were not worried about tomorrow, What is your soul longing for most right now? Sometimes the answer does not need to be spoken aloud. It only needs to be acknowledged. And if in that moment you feel that you are not the only one hearing this call, you are not wrong. There are journeys God does not send us on alone, but He also does not send us with the crowd. He draws awakening people closer together, not to compare them, but to let them know that what they are sensing is real. If you are willing, leave a small sign of agreement, not to prove faith, but to confirm to your own soul that you are listening. And if you feel the need to remain in this flow, stay, not out of habit, but because you sense that something is slowly opening, in the right rhythm, at the right time. You do not need to rush. God does not pressure, but He also does not let you fall asleep. This awakening comes from love, not from force, and it is leading you to an important truth. You were not created to live forever in spaces that only fit an older version of you. You are changing, and when you change, everything around you will either shift with you or require you to move forward. There is nothing wrong with choosing to move forward. That is not betraying the past. That is honoring what God is doing in the present. Pay attention to what you are feeling right now. Not fear, but a very quiet, very deep sense that you are being led somewhere, not fully visible yet, but enough to trust. And this journey is still unfolding, step by step, layer by layer, exactly in the rhythm heaven has set. There are truths that only reveal themselves when you are quiet enough to listen. And lately, that quiet has not brought rest, but awareness. You are beginning to see clearly that not all exhaustion comes from work or responsibility. There is a deeper kind of tiredness, one that reaches the root, the tiredness of existing in a space that no longer nourishes your soul. You once believed that if you were more patient, prayed more, endured better, everything would change. You believed that if you were good enough, restrained enough, tried hard enough, peace would return. But there are moments when God does not call you to try harder. He calls you to stop and recognize that this season has ended. Not because you failed, not because you lacked faith, but because this place has completed what it was assigned to do in your life. Some spaces are only meant to hold you for a portion of the journey, not the entire path. If you try to stay too long, you will begin to confuse faithfulness with stagnation. You sense this through the atmosphere. There are no loud arguments, no obvious crisis, but there is a quiet heaviness. You walk in and your soul does not open. It closes. You pray, but the prayer feels like it hits the ceiling and falls back down. Not because God does not hear, but because He is preparing you to pray in another place. Some places carry history, not your history, but the history of what has happened there. Pain, conflict, wounds, unresolved things leave traces behind. Walls do not speak, but the soul recognizes. And you have become sensitive enough to discern that this feeling is not random. You were not created to carry echoes that do not belong to you. You were not called to heal every place by staying and enduring. Some healing only happens when you walk away, not when you remain. And sometimes, leaving is the greatest act of faith, even when it does not look like what people usually call loyalty. You are beginning to understand that not every shelter is sacred ground. Some places give you cover, but not rest. Some places keep you physically safe, but slowly wear down your soul. And God, in His very practical love, will not let you stay there forever. A promise rises in your mind, not like a command, but like reassurance. My people will live in peaceful dwelling places, in secure homes, in undisturbed places of rest. Isaiah 32:18. That promise is not telling you to turn your current place into heaven. It is telling you that another place is being prepared, where peace is not something you have to fight to keep, but something you are given. You may be struggling with guilt. wondering if leaving means being ungrateful, wondering if seeking something better means lacking humility. But God does not confuse gratitude with being stuck. Gratitude is remembering the good you received. Being stuck is staying when He has said it is enough. You are not denying the past when you move forward. You are not rejecting what this place once gave you. You are simply acknowledging that what God is about to do cannot grow in the same space that held previous seasons. New wine needs new wineskins, not because the old ones are bad, but because they have already been stretched to their limit. There will be people around you who do not understand. They look at the outside and see that everything seems fine. They do not feel the quiet erosion, the withdrawal of peace, the silence of joy. And you do not need their understanding to obey. Some callings are not explained, they are answered. You are beginning to realize that God does not only want to change your environment, but to free you from an invisible burden. Staying too long in a space that is no longer anointed will make you accustomed to living without life, and that is more dangerous than any lack of material things. It is not accidental that lately you no longer want to fix things, no longer want to fight to keep things the same. That is not giving up. That is wisdom forming. When God withdraws His presence, He also withdraws the desire to cling. He does this so you can let go without breaking. You are learning a very deep, very real lesson. Not everything that was good in the past is permitted to go with you into the future. And that does not make you a bad person. It simply confirms that you are entering a season that requires new space, new foundations, new atmosphere. Pay attention to what you are feeling right now. There may still be fear, but that fear no longer keeps you frozen. It only reminds you that you are standing before a decision that carries weight. And within that weight, there is a very thin, very subtle peace beginning to appear. That is the sign that you are moving in the right direction. Not fast, not loud, but true. And this journey has not yet reached its destination. It is still unfolding, layer by layer, truth by truth, leading you out of spaces that have grown old and preparing you for the place God calls home in the truest sense of His meaning. The transition you are stepping into does not arrive with loud noise. It does not crash in like a storm to force you to run. It comes very quietly, very precisely, the way heaven always works when something is real. You are not being pushed away, you are being led out. And that matters more than you think, because what God is about to do does not require panic, it requires trust. You may have been waiting for a clearer sign, a door thrown wide open, a confirmation that cannot be mistaken. But instead, you have been given very small, very subtle pieces, a thought that refuses to leave, a strange sense of peace when you imagine no longer being here, a brief relief every time you allow yourself to think about letting go. These things are not random. They are how God speaks when He wants you to walk by faith, not by control. There is something you need to understand clearly at this point in the journey. God does not wait for you to be ready before He acts. He acts so that you become ready. If He waited until you were confident enough, strong enough, certain enough, you would never learn how to rely on Him. So He gives you enough light so you do not fall, but not enough so you do not need faith. Here, a divine mark begins to appear in your story, not as a mystery game, but as a synchronized rhythm between heaven and your soul. The number 777. You may have noticed it repeating somewhere, or this may be the first time you are hearing it this way. But in the language of the Spirit, 777 is a sign of divine completion, of a soul awakening, of an old cycle being fully closed to make room for something new without mixture. 777 does not say that everything is finished. It says that everything has been established. It is a reminder that you are not stepping into this season unfinished. You are entering with what is necessary already completed in the unseen realm. What you have not yet seen with your eyes has already been signed in heaven. And that explains why lately you feel both afraid and at peace. Afraid because you cannot control it. At peace because deep inside you know you are not walking alone. God never moves a person without preparing a place. He does not pull you out of an old space to drop you into emptiness. He goes ahead. He prepares the way. He marks the ground. And when the time comes, everything will align in a way that makes you look back and realize that not a single detail was wasted. You may be wondering how you can know this is not just a personal desire, how to tell the difference between human dissatisfaction and the leading of the Holy Spirit. The answer is here. Personal desire makes you restless and impatient. The leading of the Holy Spirit makes you serious and humble. It does not make you despise the old place. It makes you respect it but no longer cling to it. You are not rebelling. You are not chasing emotion. You are responding to a very deep, very precise adjustment. And this adjustment is not only about where you live, but about how you live, how you rest, how you breathe. God is not taking you to a new place so you can keep exhausting yourself. He is taking you to a new place so you can be restored. There are nights when you lie there and imagine another space, not to escape, but to breathe. A place where when you walk in, your shoulders drop. A place where you do not need to stay guarded. A place where the presence of God is not blocked by old echoes. Those images are not fantasy. They are memories from the future that the Holy Spirit is showing you in advance so you will not be afraid when it is time to step. You may not have told anyone yet. Maybe you are afraid that speaking it out loud will make it disappear. But God is not threatened by acknowledgement. He does not take back a promise because you dare to name it. On the contrary, when you acknowledge what is resonating in your soul, you are agreeing with heaven, and that agreement is the key. 777 also carries a very gentle reminder. This is not a journey of rushing. Divine completion always comes with its own rhythm. You do not need to force anything to happen. You only need to not turn away from what is opening. God does not ask you to understand everything. He only asks you to not pretend that you do not hear. If there is a number that is resonating within you, it does not have to be 777. Pay attention to it. Not to chase signs, but to recognize that heaven is always finding ways to speak to you in a language you can hear. And when you recognize that resonance, you will doubt yourself less. You will understand that your soul is not wandering. It is being led. At this stage, what matters is not where you are going, but that you do not return to sleep in a place where God has already awakened you. This awakening is grace. It may make you uncomfortable, but it keeps you alive. And God would rather make you uncomfortable for a season than let you be at peace in a place that will slowly drain you. You do not need to announce anything dramatic. You do not need to make loud declarations. You only need to be honest with what is happening inside. You only need to not betray the very deep sense that there is a hand resting gently on your back, not pushing hard, but also not allowing you to stand still forever. This transition does not come from your strength. It comes from grace. And grace is never rushed, but it is never late. It arrives at the right time, the right rhythm, the right person. And if you are here listening to these words, that alone is already part of that right timing. The journey is still continuing. No door has appeared clearly before your eyes yet, but the foundation has been laid. The seal has been set. And in the unseen realm, everything is lining up to move into its rightful place. You do not see it all yet, but you are no longer as unclear as before. You are beginning to see in a different way, and that will change everything. There is a truth. You are beginning to feel more clearly each day. The place God is leading you to is not only a new space, but a different atmosphere. You do not imagine it by shape or address, but by feeling, a very specific, very real feeling. There, you do not need to tense your body just to survive. You do not need to stay on guard. Your shoulders drop without effort. Your breath deepens without reminder. You realize that you have lived in a state of tension for so long that you forgot what true rest feels like. You called endurance strength. You called silence peace. But God is not calling you to a new place so you can keep living that way. He is calling you to restore what has been worn down for far too long. The place being prepared for you is not loud. It does not need to prove anything to anyone. It does not carry the pressure of becoming something in the eyes of others. It exists so you can be yourself before God, without hiding, without straining, without explaining. And that is exactly what makes it holy. You may not see it yet, but your soul has already recognized its scent. There are moments, very unexpected, in the middle of an ordinary day, when a strange sense of calm washes over you. Not because of good news, not because circumstances changed, just a moment when you know you will not stay here forever. And that feeling does not frighten you, it lightens you. That is how God prepares you for transition. He does not throw you into the future. He lets you taste its peace in advance so you know where you are going. You no longer dream about escaping. You begin to long for entering. Those two things are very different. You also begin to see that this transition will not only heal you, but will heal those connected to you. When you are placed in the right space, your voice changes, the way you respond changes. You no longer react from wounds, but from steadiness, and that spreads, touching your closest relationships, even without effort. God is not taking you to a new place so you can hide from the world. He is taking you to a new place so you can have a stronger foundation when you face it, a place where when you step out each day, you carry presence with you, instead of having it drained from you at home. You begin to understand why God is not in a hurry. If He moved you while you were still carrying the old rhythm, you would recreate the same exhaustion anywhere you go. So before shifting the outer space, He is shifting how you live on the inside. He is teaching you to distinguish between rest and escape, between quiet and numbness. There are habits you once thought were harmless, but now you see clearly they cannot go with you. Not because they are bad, but because they were formed in a season of survival. And that season is closing. In the new place, you no longer need those old defense mechanisms. They once saved you. But if you carry them forward, they will block healing. You also begin to notice something very subtle. You no longer want to argue to prove yourself right. You no longer want to cling to things that do not carry life. You no longer feel drawn to winning a conversation, but losing peace. That is not weakness. That is being realigned to what truly matters. God is not only building a place for you to live, He is building a new rhythm of life. A rhythm where His presence is not something you struggle to find after an exhausting day, but something that covers you from the beginning. A rhythm where you can hear His voice more clearly. Not because He speaks louder, but because there is less noise around you. You may have once thought that such deep peace was a luxury, that it was only for those with better circumstances, easier lives. But God does not give peace based on circumstances. He gives it based on obedience. And your obedience in this season is not doing more, but being willing to be moved when He says it is enough. You do not need to defend this choice to anyone, because it is not yet a choice. It is a leading that is slowly unfolding. You only need to be honest with the new rhythm forming inside you. That rhythm is slower, deeper, truer. It is not rushed. It does not need validation. It only needs you to not turn away. There are mornings when you wake up with a very quiet sense of anticipation. Not expecting something specific to happen that day, but a certainty that you are moving in the right direction, even while the road is still misty. That certainty does not come from logic. It comes from a soul that has been touched by what is coming. You may not have said it out loud, but you are beginning to believe this. The place God is calling you to will not carry the shadow of what you survived. It will not require you to keep being strong through endurance. It will allow you to be strong through rest. And that is a kind of strength you have never fully lived in before. This journey is slowly moving from recognition into readiness. You have not crossed the threshold yet, but you have turned your face toward it, and that alone has already changed how you stand in the present. You are no longer rooted deeply in this place. You stand lighter. God is doing this with great care, not rushed, not missing anything, because what He is preparing for you does not only require you to arrive, it requires you to arrive in the right condition. Not carrying old burdens, not carrying old rhythms, not carrying old exhaustion. You are being led into a space where life is not something you have to fight to keep. It is something that surrounds you. And even though you have not seen that place with your eyes yet, you have already begun to feel it with your soul. That is the clearest sign that this journey is moving in the right direction, and that what lies ahead is not just change, but a return to where you truly belong. There comes a moment in this journey when God does not speak something new, but asks you to do something very old: let go. Not letting go in panic, not letting go out of discouragement, but letting go with the clarity of someone who understands that not everything that once walked with you is allowed to go forward. You begin to feel this very clearly. There is no more inner argument, just a truth standing upright and steady. Some things cannot cross the threshold with you. You once thought that letting go would make you weaker, but the closer you move toward transition, the more you realize the opposite. Holding on to what has already finished its season is what truly exhausts you. You are not tired because you lack something new. You are tired because you are carrying too many old things. There are memories that no longer hurt you, but still keep you standing still. There are relationships with no more conflict, but also no more support. There are habits that are not wrong, but were formed in a version of you that you have already outgrown. They are not bad. They are simply no longer fitting. And that truth does not need to be justified, only accepted. You begin to understand that God is not asking you to forget the past. He is simply no longer allowing the past to decide your future. There is a deep difference between remembering and carrying. Remembering allows gratitude. Carrying creates weight. And at this threshold, weight is something you no longer have room to hold. You may have prayed many times for God to change your circumstances, but what He is doing instead is changing what you are holding. Not because He is withholding, but because your hands need to be empty to receive what is holy. Some promises do not arrive because they are too large for hands that are already full. A verse from Scripture rises like a very simple, very sharp question. Two people cannot walk together unless they are in agreement. Amos 3:3. That verse is not about judging who is right or wrong. It is about direction, and you are being led into a new direction. Not everyone, not everything that once felt familiar can turn that way with you. You begin to see clearly that this letting go is not only external, it happens deeper, at the level of thought. There are beliefs you have carried for so long that you assumed they were truth, that you only deserve to go this far, that deep peace is a luxury, that major change is not for people like you. Those thoughts do not come from God. They come from seasons when you had to survive, not seasons when you were meant to live fully. And if you do not leave them behind, you will carry them into the new place and rebuild the same limitations in a different space. God is not moving you so you can rebuild an old house with new bricks. He is moving you so you can live from a different foundation. You may be feeling a very real tension. One part of you knows you need to let go. Another part still wants to hold on because it is familiar, because it feels safe. because you fear the emptiness. That does not make you weak in faith. It makes you human. But you also need to know that God does not call you into what is next by pulling you against yourself. He is patient, but he is also very clear. You may notice this through doors that keep closing, even though you try to open them using every old method. Choices that once felt easy now feel difficult. Paths that once flowed now no longer move. Not because you are failing, but because God is no longer allowing you to return to the old way. He is not punishing you with closed doors. He is protecting you from going the wrong direction while you are being realigned. There will be people who do not walk with you through this stage, not because they are bad, but because they belong to a different rhythm. And the fact that you no longer resonate with them does not mean you have become proud. It simply means your soul is changing frequency. At different frequencies, misunderstanding is inevitable, but obedience cannot be delayed just to preserve someone else's comfort. You may also need to release very tangible things tied to memories of what you survived. They once stood as proof that you made it through, but now they keep you anchored in a survival posture. Letting them go does not erase your story. It simply allows the story to move into another chapter. God is not rushed in this letting go. He does not rip things from your hands. He allows you to look long enough to understand why you can no longer carry them, because release is only complete when it does not come from force, but from deep inner agreement. You may feel empty as you begin to release. That is normal. When your hands have held something for so long, letting go feels unfamiliar, but that empty space is not there to frighten you. It exists to make room for what is next, and what is next is not random. It has been prepared in advance, simply waiting for you to be ready to receive. At this stage, you do not need to do much. You only need to be honest. Honest about what feels heavy, honest about what has ended its season, honest about the truth that some things, if not released, will cause you to break if you try to keep walking forward. This letting go does not make you smaller, it makes you lighter. And when you are lighter, you will see more clearly, hear more clearly, walk more steadily, not because the road ahead is easier, but because you are no longer carrying what was never designed to go with you. God is doing this not to take away, but to return something to you, to return a version of you that is no longer pulled backward by things that have completed their assignment. And as you begin to release, even little by little, you will realize that your greatest fear was never loss. It was staying too long in an old form when your soul had already been called to become something else. When you have begun to let go, you will notice something very strange. Silence is no longer as frightening as it once was. It is no longer an empty space that makes you anxious, but a space where something new begins to take shape. You are no longer driven to fill every gap with plans, with explanations, with rushed action. You begin to be able to stay within uncertainty, and that is a sign that you are growing in faith. There was a time when you believed that if nothing was moving forward, then something must be wrong. You were used to measuring progress by speed, but God does not work through haste. He works through alignment, and alignment always requires a pause, not to delay, but to place everything correctly before movement begins again. You begin to realize that this waiting is not empty at all. It is filled with very subtle changes. The way you respond to bad news is different. The way you face uncertainty is different. You no longer panic like before. You no longer need to know every detail in order to keep believing. That does not come from you being stronger, but from learning not to carry what does not belong to you. Around you, people may still be living at the old pace. They are still rushing, still worrying, still chasing the same things that once pulled you along with them. But you are no longer caught up in that. Not because you stand higher, but because you are standing in a different place. When heaven moves you, It also shifts your perspective. What once unsettled you no longer carries the same weight. You also begin to notice small tests appearing in this season, not tests meant to push you backward, but to see whether you will return to old reflexes. When a familiar door unexpectedly opens, you will feel very clearly inside that it is no longer the right time, and saying no longer hurts the way it used to. It makes you steadier. At times, you may wonder whether you have been standing still for too long, but deep within, there is a very quiet knowing that you are not standing still. You are being held. There is a great difference between being stuck and being held. Being stuck makes you desperate. Being held makes you steady. And if you are honest, you will see that even though you have not gone anywhere yet, you are no longer the same person. You are in a transitional space that God considers very holy, not because it is comfortable, but because it is necessary. This is where motives are purified, where desires are reordered, where you learn to discern between what you want and what you are called to. If God moved you too quickly, you would carry confusion into the new place, and He does not want that for you. You may have noticed that in this season, outside voices no longer affect you as strongly as before. Praise does not excite you. Doubt does not shake you. You have not become cold. You have become focused. When focus arrives, noise naturally fades. You may also feel a very light sadness, one that is hard to name, not sadness over a specific loss, but sadness from saying goodbye to a former version of yourself. The version that fought for a long time, endured a great deal, did the best it could under imperfect conditions. That sadness does not need to be pushed away. It is part of the changing of seasons. You cannot step into what is new without saying farewell to what is old, even when the old once helped you survive. What matters is that you do not go back just to avoid this feeling. You allow it to pass through you, like a breeze, and when it passes, it leaves behind a very real lightness. You no longer feel compelled to prove that you were right to let go. You simply know that you cannot return without betraying what you have come to see. God does not ask you to understand everything He is doing. He only asks you not to turn away from the truth that has been revealed. Each time you choose not to return to the old path, you are strengthening the foundation for the next step. Each time you choose silence instead of panic, you are learning to walk at heaven's rhythm, not the rhythm of fear. You may not yet see the reward of this waiting, but you can feel its fruit, a steadiness that does not come from everything being finished, but from knowing that you are being held in the hands of the one who never loses rhythm, and that allows you to rest even while the journey is not yet complete. At this stage, you do not need to rush anything. You also do not need to explain to anyone why you are not rushing. Those who understand will understand. Those who do not cannot slow down what God is doing. This alignment does not depend on human agreement. It depends on heaven's faithfulness. You are standing in a very precious quiet space. Do not underestimate it. This is where you are being restored before being placed into something greater. This is where you learn to trust without controlling, to wait without losing rhythm, to hope without seeing ahead. And when the moment comes, no one will need to pull you forward. You will know, not with logic, but with a very deep agreement in your soul. You will step forward not because fear is gone, but because you no longer doubt that staying would make you smaller. The journey is moving closer to that moment. You may not yet see movement on the outside, but on the inside, everything is more ready than you think. And that readiness does not come from how much you have done, but from how much you have allowed God to do within you. There is a truth becoming clearer to you each day, even without anyone saying it out loud. This journey was never only about you. What God is doing in your life does not stop at moving you out of an old place. It is opening a wider flow, touching those connected to you, those who have walked with you through very different very real seasons. You begin to look back and realize that for a long time, you were not only carrying your own weight, you carried tensions you did not create, worries you did not cause, silences you held so everything would not fall apart. You were strong in a very quiet way, and because of that, when God speaks of transition, He is not only speaking of your lightness, but of the release of an entire living space. You may not have dared to name it yet, but deep inside, you know that when you are placed in the right position, everything around you will breathe differently. Conversations will change their tone. Tensions that once repeated will no longer have ground to cling to, not because people change immediately, but because the atmosphere changes. When the foundation shifts, what is built on it cannot keep the same old shape. God does not move you only so you can have peace. He moves you so life can flow through you without obstruction. There are seasons when you have to hold yourself back to survive, but there are seasons when if you keep holding back, you become the blockage of what God wants to do. And He loves you too much to leave you trapped in that role. You begin to see clearly that true healing does not come from avoiding all conflict, but from being in the right space. When you are in the wrong place, you spend enormous energy just keeping things from collapsing. When you are in the right place, that energy is released to build. You no longer live in constant reaction. You begin to live with intention. You may have once believed that if you left, everything would fall apart. But now you are discovering a truth that is difficult and deeply freeing. Some things are only healed when you are no longer standing in the middle, holding them together. When you step out of a position that no longer belongs to you, others are forced to face their own responsibility. And that is not selfishness, that is order being restored. You were not called to be the support for everything by sacrificing yourself. You were called to stand in the right position, where your presence is not worn down, but multiplied. And from that position, whatever you touch is touched by life, not by exhaustion. You also begin to sense clearly that the future is no longer a threatening blur like before. It is still not fully shaped, but it is no longer intimidating. There is a quiet certainty that what lies ahead is not built on old fear. It is built on a very careful rearrangement from heaven, and that allows you to look forward without gripping everything tightly in your hands. There are moments when you realize you are standing differently, even in the same old place. You no longer react the same way. You no longer get pulled into familiar cycles, not because you have physically left, but because spiritually, you no longer belong there. And when belonging shifts, responses shift with it. You begin to understand that this transition is not here to destroy everything you once knew. It is here to put everything in the right order. Some things that once held the center are now moved to the edges. Some things once overlooked now become the foundation, and in that rearrangement, you do not lose yourself. You find yourself again. God is preparing a space for you where His presence is not something you must defend against exhaustion, but something that naturally covers daily life. A place where conversations are not colored by old tension. A place where silence does not carry anxiety. A place where laughter does not need caution. You do not need to imagine too far ahead. You only need to be honest with what is happening inside you right now. You are standing more upright. You no longer shrink to fit frames that have become too tight. You are no longer afraid that if you change, everything will collapse. You are beginning to believe that if you do not change, that is what would truly be dangerous. A very quiet preparation is taking place, not through loud planning, but through the refining of motives. You no longer want to step into something new just to prove that you survived. You want to step in to live rightly, live deeply, live truthfully, and that desire does not come from ambition. It comes from exhaustion that has been purified. You also begin to realize that you no longer need constant validation from the outside. You do not need everyone to agree for you to move forward. You do not need everyone to fully understand for you to feel at peace. There is a very deep agreement between you and what God is doing, and that agreement is strong enough to keep you steady even when many voices around you differ. This journey is moving very close to outward expression. You can sense it in how things slowly, steadily begin to align. What once felt scattered begins to find order. Questions that once drained you begin to fall silent, not because you have all the answers, but because you no longer need them in order to keep trusting. You are stepping very close to the moment when inner preparation meets outward opening. And when that happens, it will not feel shocking, it will feel right. So right that you will look back and understand why everything had to move through this path, with this rhythm, with these releases. You have not crossed the threshold yet, but you are standing right in front of it. And you are no longer trembling like before. You are not without fear, but that fear no longer turns you back. It only reminds you that what you are about to step into carries weight, and that weight is not here to crush you. It is here to place you in the right position within the larger story heaven is writing. There is a very quiet, very certain moment when you stop asking, not because every answer has been given, but because you understand that you do not need to carry the questions in order to move forward. You stand there, right at the threshold, and for the first time in a long while, you are not trying to guess what will happen next. You simply know that you cannot go back without losing what has been awakened within you. You realize that this transition was never an escape. It is a return, not a return to what is familiar, but a return to the rightful place of your soul, a place where you do not have to shrink to fit, a place where you do not have to stay silent in order to have peace, a place where you do not have to strain just to exist. There were days you feared that if you moved forward, everything behind you would collapse. But now you see clearly whatever is built on your self-sacrifice will eventually crack. God does not keep you back to protect structures that no longer carry life. He leads you forward so life can continue, in the right order. You also begin to understand that what lies ahead does not require you to become someone else. It requires you to become yourself, without being covered by old exhaustion, old fear, old rhythms. You are not called to rebuild a life from zero. You are called to place the life that has already been refined into the right foundation. You may still not see the door open before your eyes, but you no longer doubt that it exists. You sense it in a very personal, very hard to explain way, a certainty that does not need logic, a peace that does not need conditions. It does not come from everything being finished, but from knowing who is leading you. You remember everything that brought you here, the sleepless nights, the very difficult releases, the moments you had to face yourself with no one else standing beside you. None of it was wasted. No step was meaningless. Every time you chose not to go back, you moved one step closer to what was prepared for you before you even had the words to ask. You also realized that you no longer need to announce anything grand. No need to prove that you were right. No need to convince anyone to believe with you. This does not come from human agreement. It comes from the faithfulness of heaven. And that faithfulness does not require applause. It only requires you to step when the time comes. There is a very different kind of readiness present in you now, not eager excitement, but steadiness that has been forged. You do not step because fear is gone. You step because you know that staying would betray what you have learned. And that, for you now, is more frightening than the uncertainty ahead. You look back at the old place with gratitude, not regret. You do not deny what it gave you. You simply acknowledge that it is no longer where you are called to remain. There are seasons God uses to shelter you. There are seasons He uses to shape you. And then there comes a season when He leads you on, not because you are lacking, but because you are ready to step into something else. You do not step into the future with empty hands. You carry wisdom that was paid for. You carry faith that has been refined. You carry a spiritual sensitivity that no longer allows you to be easily distracted. And most importantly, you carry a very deep agreement that what God promises is never late, only right on time. You may cry when you step into the new place, not because you are weak, but because your soul recognizes that it has arrived somewhere it can rest. Those tears do not carry old pain, they carry release. They are the sign that one cycle has fully closed and another is beginning, no longer mixed with unhealed fractures. You will not need anyone to tell you that you are in the right place. You will know, not by temporary excitement, but by a calm that spreads throughout you, a calm that does not need to be defended, a calm that does not disappear when night falls, a calm that allows you to sleep deeply and wake without preparing yourself to endure another day. And when you look back at this moment of standing between old and new, you will understand why everything had to happen this way, why you had to wait, why you had to let go, why you had to pass through long stretches of silence, not to make you smaller, but to make your steps steady enough to carry what God is entrusting to you. You do not step into what is next recklessly. You step in alignment, not chasing what is new, but walking with what is right, and that difference will shape everything that follows. No more promises are needed. No more signs are needed. You have enough to trust, enough to step, enough to not turn back. And in that sufficiency, the door will open, not because you knocked the right way, but because the time has come. When you step through, you will not carry the noise of the past with you. You will carry the holy silence that was formed within you through this entire journey. And that silence will become the foundation for everything new to be built. Steady, clean, and in right order. You have been called, you have heard, you have prepared, and now there is nothing left to hold you back.
Grateful that you chose to spend these moments in the light of this story. If it touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so the next whisper of light may find its way back to you.